All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Socially Connected 360, number 23 is in the house. That's right, number 23. We're ending our season. It's December. We're excited to have our wonderful guest at number 23, Mr. AJ Suero. He is the director now of communications at PBS 39 and 91.3 WLVR, Lehigh Valley NPR radio. So we're excited to have him on our show. He is someone that has given back time and time again to those in need and is someone that we're going to look forward to talking to today. The episode starts now.
This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Socially Connected 360, number 23. Like I said earlier, number 23 is in the house. I got my main man, someone who I've seen work in the community. I remember meeting him at one of the festivals, family days that we did in Allentown. He came up to me at that time. We introduced each other because we saw each other online. And man, let me tell you, from that moment, I knew this gentleman, as humble as he seemed, I knew he was going to do some tremendous work in our community. Mr. AJ Suero is in the house. AJ, how you doing, man? How's everything going?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Thank you so much for the invite. I mean, episode number 23, I feel like a certain kind of pressure because, 23, that's a big number, man. The GOAT is number 23. Yeah. So I guess we have to make a good show. Yeah,
absolutely, man. 23. It is what it is, man. You gotta live up to those shoes, but live up to Jordan, I guess.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
So how's everything going, man? Family's good? Everybody's good?
Yeah, everybody's doing good. We just got back from Thanksgiving break. It's always great when you have that break, at the end of the year to kind of refocus and everything. We took some time to go visit family, get down to North Carolina, got away from the cold for a little bit, but we're back. We're ready to go through December, right on into the new year. Hopefully with some new things right around the corner that, we'll be talking about.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. So North Carolina. So I got a quick question before we get into this, before we get into AJ, obviously, like I said, like I tell folks all the time, this show right here is to connect you with individuals like AJ, who work hard in our community, who've done wonderful things. But we want to get you to know them even deeper. Right. But real quick, before we do that, North Carolina, are there a lot? I do cycling, of course people see all my stuff on social media, but I heard North Carolina is pretty good for cycling. Do you know anything about that?
A lot of great trails down there, man. My sister-in-law actually lives in southeastern North Carolina. As hard as that is to understand. just outside of Charlotte, right? So
okay, gotcha.
Where she lives, you could basically walk or drive or cycle right into South Carolina, and a lot of people do that, you go back there and you see the trails, and you can see why it is that people move down there and like to live down there. It's just a different style of life. People go cycling. It was like 70 degrees when we were down there last week, so there was a lot of people out there on the road cycling for sure. So yeah, you definitely got to go check it out.
Yeah, I will. Just quick story. When I retired from the Navy, I had met a high-ranking official who actually was a big cyclist. I mean, this guy will wake up at 4:00 in the morning to go cycling, and 2-3 hours before even the workday. And he was from North Carolina, and I would say, man, it's beautiful, because I was down in Florida, and I was like, man, it's beautiful down here to cycle. It's probably really nice. And he looked at me crazy. He's like, you have no idea. So I wanted to get a second opinion on that.
Yeah, no, but definitely it's a beautiful place to go. Definitely recommend going there.
Yeah, man, we'll check it out. So let's get right into it, man. So AJ, I know you, of course, when Puerto Rico got hit hard, we worked hard for that, and we'll get into that later. But let's talk a little bit about where did you grow up and your beginning? How did tell us a little bit about that?
Let me tell you something, man. It's like I feel so blessed from the guy up above, because when I think about my story and how far I've come in life, you can only say that it's a supernatural, it's God, it's all God. But I tell people I'm just a Dominican kid from Brooklyn, man. That's where it started for me. My parents both came from the Dominican Republic back in the 70s, and we were born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was the only Spanish kid in a very diverse community. And I think that even back then, it was kind of setting me up to live, in a diverse community and be around, a lot of different cultures and a lot of people from different walks of life. But, just growing up, my parents worked hard. They came here, they instilled in us, a sense of working hard for what you believe in, but a sense of community too. It's not just about you taking care of yourself, but it's taking care of the people around you, and also being proud of who you are. I've always been proud wherever I've been to say, that I'm Dominican, I'm Hispanic, I'm Latino, even in rooms where I'm the only one there, because I think that, we need to be represented. And it's just been an amazing experience, everywhere I've been to represent my community. And that's the thing that I'm most proud of. I grew up in New York, like I said, went to high school in Brooklyn, went to community college in New York, graduated from Bronx Community College back in 1998. and then something interesting happened. I dropped out of school, and I went and I started working in customer service. And anybody who's been in customer service knows that you can make money in customer service, but it really takes a toll on you, because people just want to hit you with all the anger and all the angst that they have.
Oh my God.
And so I did that for a good 15 years. And then, as my parents started to get older, I started to reanalyze my life. They started to age and get to the point where, they were close to, being very elderly. They passed away right around when I was 40. So it was kind of a moment for me to kind of take a step back and say, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life, is being customer service? And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, for sure.
But, I decided to go after my passion, which really was communications and serving people. And, like you mentioned before, that actually led me to a path with the American Red Cross, which is kind of where, the story for most people around here starts.
Interesting. Yeah, I know. And I remember, man, but real quick. So I just did a piece on Rigo Peralta, Dominican as well. And I'm telling you, man, both of your stories to come here, to make it to where you're at now, it goes to show young folks, when you're watching this today, young folks, and even older folks, if you're struggling, you can still do what you love to do, and you can still make it. You just got to keep chugging away, and we're going to figure out how to do it here with AJ. So tell us about your family, though. You have a wife, a couple kids.
Yep. So my wife and I are both originally from New York. Right after 9/11, I actually left New York, and I came to Reading to live with my parents. They were living in Reading at the time. So when my wife and I started dating, she was still living in New York. I was living in Reading. When we decided to get married, we were like, okay, well, we're not going to live in New York. We're not going to live in Reading. Let's try to find somewhere in between. And that's how we landed in the Lehigh Valley. So I and the thing is, like, I remember coming to the Valley in 03, 04. It was a much different place. Like you go down to Center City, and I remember all those buildings being run down, and, just like all the crime and everything. And just to be here during this time and just see like a renaissance of not just Allentown, but the Lehigh Valley as a whole, and the sense of hope that people have now with all the changes that are happening, in administrations and just development and things like that. There's just so many exciting things going on. So we are so excited to be living here during this time. Both of my kids actually attend school here in the Valley as well. They both go to charter school. They're both musicians, just like Dad.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, man. I mean, we totally love it, and we love getting out to events. Talking to people, just being around our community, because I mean, there's just such a melting pot, in our community of people from different walks of life and experiences, and it's just so beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah, man. I was born and raised here, and I saw the end of an era in the 80s. From the Hess era to the canopies when you walk down Hamilton Street, where you could walk and not get wet because they had like these canopies. I don't know if you remember. And then they got rid of all that. Yeah, and then it's kind of like you said, it kind of went down. And then the influx of the NIS and all that was actually, in my opinion, what was needed. Be able to create some energy down there, and then obviously just the Lehigh Valley is just a wonderful time. You're right. So let's talk about it, man, real quick. You end up at Red Cross. I remember immediately. I saw you at the event at the family day we did at the Arts Park. I didn't see. I saw you, and I'm like, man, who is this guy? Like, you're going everywhere. You're meeting them. You're already. Like you're working hard just to meet everybody there. How do you get to Red Cross, and how does that come about?
Well, you remember how we talked about how I dropped out of school?
Yeah.
So like I said, as my parents passed away, I turned 40. I actually decided to go back to school, and went back and I got my bachelor's degree. And an interesting thing happened the month that I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I got laid off from my job. So I'm like, man, what do I do? It's like, and it happened right around Christmas too. So it's even worse, like
a bittersweet moment. It's like, yeah. Oh, dang.
Yeah, literally. So it's like, literally the week before Christmas, I had just gotten laid off. And I said, what do I want to do? Do I want to jump into another job? Do I want to try to, advance my education even more? So I made the decision to actually just jump into a master's program for 13 months. And, the first 6 months, I was getting unemployment. So that kind of helped. But then, the last 6 months, I started jumping into the whole entrepreneur thing and just using the skills that I had to, just kind of support myself through those last 6 months so I could really concentrate on school and just get it done. And, just graduating with a master's degree just gave me such a sense of accomplishment and really a sense of confidence, that I started applying for jobs and just started realizing, okay, I want to use my communication skills. I want to use my skills with videography and other things to really help and serve my community. And an opportunity had opened up with the Red Cross. They were looking for somebody to support not just Allentown, but also Reading and Philadelphia. So that whole area,
Wow.
So we need somebody who's Latino, so who speaks Spanish, and it worked out. I was hired, and then 3 months after I'm hired, right, we have the car bombing, in downtown Allentown.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was the first real test of the metal. And again, in that situation, it was my first taste of seeing, okay, people really do come together when bad things happen. Because I saw Cynthia Mota, I saw Miguel Morales, I saw you, I saw, the Allentown Police Department, the fire department. I just thought everybody just came together at a time of need and rally around the community and really support people. And I'm not just talking about just in the immediate, but in the weeks, in the months after, just providing mental health services and making sure that people had what they needed to get through that. In that situation, Fountain Street fire that happened the year after that is kind of like I got connected with Yamalisa and and Oath and a lot of the other organizations. And again, it kind of reinforced this concept of, when bad things happen, the neighbors around really do rally around the community that's affected and help the community. And that was just so impactful for me to see, that it really kind of confirmed for me, like, yeah, I really am doing what I really want to do by being closely connected to helping the community.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that's a big thing about the Lehigh Valley again. And especially Allentown, you know, there are organizations, nonprofits, and even just individuals and churches and government agencies that really come together when those things happen, man. And we've seen it time and time again. And you see the same faces and the same leadership and the same individuals with that drive to want to help people, and it's contagious, right? And so that's why I tell people, man, when you see this, you know, document it. You know, share it. I mean, a lot of people ask me, you know, man, you share a lot. I'm like, I share a lot because it's either me or, you know, not that the media can't be everywhere, you know, and especially real time. But it's good for us. You know, we have the power with social media to share all the good things that all of you and all these organizations are doing to help people, and it becomes contagious, you know? So yeah, man, I feel you on that. So you talked a little bit about those incidences. Walk me through one of the biggest incidences, or one of the biggest things that we had to go through with Puerto Rico. I know that I went with Councilwoman Olga Negron and some other folks to try to help raise some money at Bethlehem Steel Stacks. I know you went to Puerto Rico. Tell me how that was, man, because we weren't able to go over there. How was that over there?
Well, I guess I got to start by telling you that when I first came on with the Red Cross, like, and I, you know, it's going through the interview process and talking to them about taking a position with them. One of the things that really drove me there was Hurricane Maria, you know, because Hurricane Maria happened in 2017. I started there in 2018. So I just missed an opportunity to go down and help. And what was interesting is that at the time that Hurricane Maria was happening, you know, the local chapter was looking to send people down. And, you know, what they always came across was the issue of language and, you know, having people with the right skill set. So I just missed that opportunity. And, you know, it was kind of one of those things that just really harped on me. Like the whole time that I sat there just going through training and stuff like that, I'm like, man, I wish I had been here a few months earlier.
Yeah.
To help people through that situation. So here comes the beginning of 2020, or the end of 2019, right? We hear about these earthquakes that are happening. And, you know, I start talking to my boss, and I'm asking, hey, are they sending people? Like, you know, like, I want to go, I need to go. Like, I feel like I really need to go.
We all felt that way.
You know, so he said, hey, look, I'm going to ask, you know, we'll see what happens, blah, blah, blah. And it was a Sunday afternoon. I was sitting down and watching football. And I'd taken a nap, and I get a phone call. And it's like, hey, pack your bags. You're going to Puerto Rico. They need you down there. I said, I'm on the next plane. So Tuesday, I actually got down there. And, you know, for me, it's like I had never really been down to Puerto Rico before. So this was a completely new experience for me. Like, I'd been down to the Dominican Republic growing up and stuff like that, but never been down to Puerto Rico. So it was, you know, I kind of went, and I felt a little nervous because my thought was like, well, what's it going to be like? Like, how do I get around and stuff like that? But the interesting thing is that as friends of mine found out that I was going, you know, those last days before I left, they gave me maps. They were like, you got to go here, you know, check on my relative that lives there, go to this place, go to that place.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, you know, everybody was so supportive of me through that process. And then I get there, and I had this feeling of like, man, this feels familiar, you know, because I guess, you know, just being in the Dominican before, it kind of felt like I'd been here before.
Very similar. Oh, extremely similar.
And at the same time, it felt like, and I was meant to come down here and help people. So we get down there, and you know, the first couple of days we're down on the southern coast. And it's just devastation. I mean, we pulled into Huánica that first afternoon, and just seeing buildings demolished, and school buildings, and, you know, government buildings, houses, you know, on their sides, completely demolished. But the thing that really stuck with me was people's resolve. You know, it's like, these are people that they still had blue tarps on their roofs from Hurricane Maria, and they just had like the best attitude about things. They were like, oh my God, I'm alive. I could replace a house. I could do this, whatever. And, for something that, us here on the mainland, it would like completely depress us and really make us feel bad. I mean, a lot of these people were just so happy to be alive, and they were just so encouraged that there were people who came from, Pennsylvania, from Idaho, from California, to stand by their side and help them and just give a hug. Hear their story, or just be there and make their kids laugh and give them a bottle of water. And those things really stuck with me. And, I came back with just such a profound gratitude for what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And because here are people who lost everything, and, they have such an outlook on life, a positive outlook. So I'm going to tell you a really cool thing that happened while I was down there. I get to this house, and what struck me about this house is it had a sign. It said 20 people, 6 adults, 4 elderly, 3 children, 2 dogs, right? And they all had tents on the front lawn, and that's where everybody was sleeping, because they were told, don't sleep in your house, because there could be structural issues with the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I go down there, we're talking with the family, we're providing them with, emotional counseling, we're providing them with food and other resources and things like that. And then one of the ladies, she's like, thank you so much for coming. Like, where did you come from? And I said, well, I live in Pennsylvania. And she says, that's interesting. Like, I have a nephew who lives in Pennsylvania. Like, where in Pennsylvania do you live? I said, well, near Bethlehem, Allentown. She's like, oh my God, he lives there. Like, he's on the radio over there.
And my God.
And I'm like, who's your nephew? She's like, Guillo Loquillo. He's my nephew.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you're kidding me. I know him. So wow. I get on the phone with Guillo, and I'm like, Guillo, I'm at your aunt's house.
Wow.
And he almost lost it. He was like, thank you so much. We had not been able to get in touch with her.
Wow.
You just helped me have a sense of relief, and again, that all goes back to this sense of community, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're all in it to help each other. But it's just amazing that, you go out thinking that you're helping, just people down there. But that's just an example, like how you're able to help even people over here
mm-hmm.
to have a sense of relief that their family members are okay. So, yeah, I mean, Puerto Rico was just like, it was an amazing experience. And then the thing is, you're down there, you're told everybody has to stay out of their house. And then I come back and COVID starts, and we're told everybody has to stay in their house.
Yeah, geez.
So it was an interesting 2020 for sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, an interesting couple of years. But yeah, man, and again, Red Cross, thank you so much to them. Just an organization that has been there time and time again when it comes to every natural disaster in our country, and continues to raise money and continues to help people. It's just an amazing, I can't imagine the logistical endeavor that organization has to put together every time, and does it, I would say, with ease. That's what it looks like. I'm pretty sure behind the scenes it's not.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the thing that really makes it work is the fact that there are people who volunteer their time. Because for every one employee or staff member, there's 10, 11, 12, 13, 20 volunteers out there doing actual work. So
again, those volunteers, man, whew, God bless them. God bless them. So fast forward, we are now back in PA, and I see on LinkedIn and on social media that my friend AJ Suero is now the director of communications at PBS 39 and 91.3, right? WLVR, Lehigh Valley, NPR. Did I get it right?
Right. Yeah.
Tell me about that, man. I'm excited about that. I already see, and again, PBS is wonderful. They always had great energy. They always put out a professional product, and just a wonderful organization. But there's a sense of energy now that I'm seeing a little bit of a shift. So tell us about that, man. How does that come about?
Yeah, as great as the American Red Cross was in terms of an experience, until you walk in somebody's shoes, you don't understand all the intricacies of it. But going to Puerto Rico was an amazing experience. I also got to go down to Oregon and out to Oregon for wildfires. I went to Orlando for hurricanes, and those deployments. I mean, you're away from your family 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah.
And I know that you can understand this because you were in the military. I mean, what it's like to be deployed and the toll that it takes on your family.
Absolutely.
I understood that I couldn't sustain that forever. That I couldn't be out away from my family every fall or every winter or whenever something happened. I really had to have more of a sense of stability. But at the same time, the one thing that I truly learned while I was there is my passion for the local community. So what I told myself is that I want the next thing to truly be centered around serving the local community. And so when the opportunity opened up with PBS and 91.3 WLVR, that's exactly what I saw. I mean, and as I sat down there and I listened to them describe the opportunity, it's like, hey, we need somebody to help us connect with our community. We need someone to help us identify organizations that we could be working with, that we could be partnering with, that we could be doing things with. And I just sat there and I was like,
down my alley.
That's the mission. I think that God places you in certain places at certain times for certain things. And it's up to you to kind of have that discernment and that understanding of where it is that God is taking you in life. And I know that my thing was serving the community, but I wanted to serve my local community. So my kids were excited to see me hang up my bag and not and put away the luggage and not have to go anywhere and know, hey, Dad's coming home every night, but I'm going to be doing significant work in the Valley. And I truly have enjoyed getting out and connecting with organizations and just looking at what are the ways that we can make people's lives here in the Lehigh Valley better, not just here in the Lehigh Valley, but, in Berks County, in Western New Jersey, like the area that we cover as an organization. And, like I said, 2021 was exciting because we started moving things in a different direction, but I know in 2022, we're going to do so many more things. So I'm super excited about just the opportunities that are coming about in working with the community.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I will say this, the stuff that I'm seeing now, just even most recently with your mayoral debate, I mean, you put together a wonderful platform of being able to speak to a Latino community in such a professional manner that it's beyond me the logistics behind that and just the production, everything, finding the interpreter. I mean, it's beyond me. It's wonderful. It looks great. And it's just such a professional way of doing it. And it's just your team over there is doing a great job. And again, I see the shift in energy. Not that there wasn't any positive energy over there. They had a good, that ship was moving, but now they have you working together with them. So it's phenomenal. And it's great.
I'm not going to take all the credit. I'm not going to take all
for sure. I
think that, leadership has made that commitment. And, so from the top up, our senior leadership, they made a commitment to, really listen and hone in to what the community is asking. It was interesting. I was in the office last week. I was one of the only people in there, and the CEO was in the building, right? So he's like, hey, why don't you and I go to lunch? I'm like, okay, fine, let's go to lunch. We're sitting there and, he's picking my brain because he wants to know, like, what is it that the community needs? Like, where do you see opportunities? And the first thing I told him is like, look, we really need to continue to make inroads with our Latino community. Like, they need programming. They need, resources. They need a place where they can gather and really feel like they can be connected. And he completely agreed, and it's just that willingness to have the conversation, to continue the conversation, but also be intent about listening to what the community partners are saying. The Hispanic Center of the Lehigh Valley, they approached us, early in the summer to talk to us about COVID hesitancy and saying, hey, we want to put a program together. We worked with them to do a program in Spanish, to talk to people about
wonderful
importance of the vaccine. And we're talking about other opportunities. We had Hispanic Heritage Month and put a whole campaign around that. But the thing is, we're not doing these things as one-offs, to check off a box. It really is a commitment to really embrace the diversity of our community, and really be kind of like that hub where people can gather and really celebrate the fact that we're different, but we have commonalities, even though we're different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, when I worked with the PA Latino Convention as the marketing manager, the first 3 years, of course, as I've taken a step back from a lot of boards and just trying to work on my health and just do some other things. But I noticed that PBS did come to Lancaster and was involved in Bethlehem and went to Reading, the virtual when they had the virtual, and then most recently in Reading again. And you could see the commitment. And we talked about it at the PA Latino Convention a lot. Norman Bristol and Councilwoman Olga Negron talked about it all the time. 1 million strong in Pennsylvania. And I tell this to folks on LinkedIn all the time. I say this: if you're not marketing to the Latino community and you don't see the shift in numbers when it comes to that's a growing population, then you're going to be behind the curve. And so not that PBS is marketing, but PBS is trying to reach that community as well. And I commend all of you for that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that there is a gap. I'm going to take off my PBS hat for a second, and I'm just going to talk in general.
I got you.
What I see as a media person is there really is a gap, and gaps are opportunities that somebody needs to fill in. And with the Hispanic community, I mean, a lot of what you see is, people wanting to sell you cars, people wanting to sell you, this and the other thing, and rice and food and restaurants, and that's fine, but there is a space there for impartial information, for truly neutral news information in Spanish, that I think that many people in the Valley that are in the news business need to explore. Because I think that one of the things that we're seeing right now with the pandemic is just the spread of misinformation. Right. Social media is a great thing. It allows us to remain connected, but at the same time, it can be a very evil tool because it also allows false information to get out quickly, and then you ask people like, well, where did you hear that? I mean, like, who told you that? Oh, I saw it on a meme, or I saw it on this, or I saw it on the other thing. And there's really no understanding of how to distinguish what's factual news versus what's a rumor. So I think there's an opportunity to educate our people, and I think, again, it goes, putting my PBS hat back on again, it goes back on to, as an organization, one of the things that we seek to do is engage in civics. So what are the things that are important for the Hispanic community? It's understanding that elections are important, every single one of them. The census is important, every single one of them. That you being in the know as to what's happening in your city, understanding when meetings are happening at City Hall, understanding when meetings are happening in the municipality, what decisions are being made, how those decisions affect you, how those decisions affect your taxes.
Absolutely.
All these other things. It's so important to be there present, but the only way that people are going to be there present is if they know more about how these things impact them and the importance of them being present.
Yeah, man. Powerful stuff. And I 100% agree. At the end of the day, it's communication, it's your forte. Communication is key. And especially in any community, white, black, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. All in our entire community, being able to communicate and then effectively, because, we see folks trying to communicate or trying to put out information. And again, it's just not effective, but to do it at the level that you are doing it, man, I see a wonderful movement going on with PBS.
And I have to give you your own too, man, because one of the things that people don't understand because they haven't been around us is, we talk about a lot of our commonalities, right? Growing up. And I remember that you talked about your dad and how your dad was just so into radio and communications from an early age. Yeah. So let me tell you a quick story about my dad.
We're like twins. Hold on, we're like twins.
I don't know.
You're my twin brother.
Separated at birth or something. But one of the interesting things with my dad is that he grew up in the Dominican during a dictatorship, right? Trujillo regime was one of the worst in Latin America.
Wow.
And he grew up during that time, right? He was formed during that time. So my grandfather pulled my dad out of school when my dad was in 5th grade.
Wow.
And since he was in 5th grade, he basically had to work, in carpentry and, furniture and stuff like that. But my dad's dream was always to be a journalist. It was always to be like in the communications field. And so he kind of grew up with that frustration of like not being able to do that. And I can remember when I was young, sitting at home in the living room, he had this microphone that he would plug into the record player.
That's great.
And he had these records, right? Like from parades and stuff like that. And he would just pretend like it's the Rose Parade. And, here goes the float from such and such country, blah, blah, blah. And he would start talking about it. And then he would pass me the mic and say, I would do his color, right? I was doing his color commentary. Yeah. But it's just funny how like from that very young age, it's like I kind of felt an affinity for communication and for broadcasting. And bring it full circle. Here we are, all these years later, and you and I are both doing it. I think those are the beautiful things that this time period is creating, is these opportunities for people. So I get on my soapbox with people who are our age, and I tell them, look, there's no reason why you can't pursue your dream. It took me till I was mid-age to actually get back into school and really pursue hard after what I wanted to truly do in life. But anybody can do it. And I think that it's important for people within our community to do it, because like I said, there's that vacuum, there's that void for journalism in Spanish. And the only way we're going to fill it is if we have Spanish speaking journalists, people who have that passion and have that drive. We've got Victor Martinez here in the Valley. He's great. He's amazing, but he's one person. We got Perla. She's one person. We need an army of people.
Genesis.
With Genesis. And, I love working with her. She is amazing. She is a true and consummate professional. But we need more people like that. We need to broaden the army. We need to get people in newspaper journalism. We need to get people in, on blogs. We need to get, but not just anybody who just wants to sit down there and get noticed. It's people who actually have a passion for journalism, and not just any journalism, but truly neutral journalism, so that our community can learn more and become better educated to make better decisions.
Absolutely, man. Investigative journalism is not saying it's a thing of the past, but we really need it in our community, the Latino community, because we need to be, like you said, we need to be able to put out that information that is correct and factual, and it's needed. So, man, I commend you on that, man. It's great to see. I'm always looking forward now to, and before too. I remember being a kid. Quick story. My mom, and I tell this story. When I ran for mayor. True story. Mom, I love you. I'm going to tell the story. So my mom learned English watching Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers.
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. That is the 4th time that I've heard that. Yeah. I kid you not. The month that we were putting together these spots for Hispanic Heritage, I was just thinking like, what am I going to ask these people? Like, I'm going to ask them about how their kids learned, and they're like, like Olga and Juan, Juan Martinez. They're like, no, that's how I learned English. I was like George. I was watching Sesame Street.
Mr. Rogers.
Like, I was just so amazed because you think that the impact of shows like that is limited to just kids, but there are people who came from Puerto Rico, people who came from Dominican Republic.
Yeah, because you got to keep your kid calm. So what do? You put him in front of the TV at the time. Yeah. And you're watching Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and before you, Sesame Street, right? Obviously, they spoke Spanish sometimes there, so it was very
Maria Luis,
she spoke Spanish sometimes, so it was like they were embracing. Oh, yes, hablaba español también. Oh, qué bueno. I want my kid watching this. So that's true. My mom, and now, I mean, she's good. So many years later, and about to retire, hopefully soon from St. Luke's. But yeah, man. So that's a quick story of my mom, and And my dad as well. My dad, he learned English. My dad obviously worked in warehouses and met a lot of people. But my mom, yeah, that's how she learned English. It's pretty cool.
Talking about how we grew up though, in the shows that we watched, there was one thing that that I know I wanted to share. I remember growing up, and I don't know if this was your experience, but there were shows that my mom watched, like Sábado Gigante. She used to watch, the news on
Novelas.
Novelas, yeah, absolutely. but every single day, she used to watch Despierta America, right? Because that was kind of like our version of Good Morning America. So cool thing happened last year. Last year, Hurricane Laura happens down in Texas, and I'm up here in the Northeast. Just so happened that 1 week I was covering our national advanced public affairs, at the Red Cross, and I get a call, and it's like, hey, tomorrow morning you're going to be on Univision. I'm like, okay, because I'm thinking it's the Philly station, right? It's like it's Univision 65. Okay, just let me know when so and so is going to call me. No, this is national Univision.
Wow.
Despierta America. To me, that was like the full circle moment.
Wow.
Because that took me back to when I was that 7-year-old kid sitting in front of the TV and just looking at Jorge Ramos and looking at Maria Celeste and all these people who, to me, they were like my role models. Because I'm like, here is somebody who looks like me, who speaks like me, who's being respected as a professional on TV, not looked upon like a criminal or delinquent or anything like that, but a positive Hispanic role model. And then here I am last August doing a live hit from my backyard.
Wow.
On Despierta America. It was just one of those moments where it's like, I know that there was some kid somewhere that watched that and said, you know what, if he can do it, I can probably do it too. And those are the moments that on this half now, those are the moments that I live for, is to kind of inspire the next generation not to think of themselves as something more than they think of themselves, not to see themselves in a greater light. And that's why, I look at opportunities that perhaps other people get intimidated by. And I said, you know what? I'll try walking through that door, because the worst thing that could happen is they could say no, right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with somebody saying no, because no is just clarity, right? That's all it is. It's just, okay, no is just a correction back to you finding your true way.
Absolutely.
The question is, what if they say yes?
Exactly. And then the show begins.
Right. That's right. So.
Amazing. Perfect segue. I only got a couple more questions, but perfect segue. So, question I asked all my guests, obviously the reason I asked it when I was 19, struggled a lot, just like many other 18, 19-year-olds. I'm not alone, but for me personally, and I would love to have some advice. AJ, 19, one piece of advice or some advice you would give to AJ at 19, if you could, knowing everything you know now.
What's interesting is that what I would ask or tell myself at 19 are the same things that I'm telling myself now.
Wow.
Because I feel like I'm entering a new chapter of my life. So 18, 19 is a special age for many people, because it's kind of when you enter adulthood, right? It's leaving behind adolescence and childhood and really evolving into an adult. And so I think that happens at 19, but then it happens again when you jump into your 40s, where you really have to ask yourself some of the same questions as when you're 19. And the question is, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? And why? And the thing is, like, when you're 19, a lot of it is, I want to make money, because I want to buy stuff, because I want to do stuff, because I want to go places, I want to travel. But right now in this part of my life, it really is more about how can I make the most of my time to help as many people as I can.
Fantastic.
Because that's really the motor. That's what wakes me up in the morning, is knowing that there's somebody that I can help. It's up to me to help that person.
Absolutely.
I get more joy, more satisfaction out of that than anything else in this point in life. And that's why, I look for opportunities to serve in the community. I look for opportunities to serve on boards, because I genuinely think, and I believe each one of us has something that we can contribute to make this a better community. I'm tired of complaining about stuff. It's time for us to actually get involved in bringing solutions and being a part of the solution, and showing up and lending a hand when help is needed to form the solution. So the questions I'm asking myself right now is, how can I make the best use of my time to help the most people I can?
Fantastic. There's a 19-year-old kid right now that needed to hear, just help people.
Yeah.
You help people, and you'll see it. All these other opportunities just open up.
Right, it comes full circle, man. I mean, it's like, I just see like the opportunities that I've been afforded in life are things that, I have friends that are like, man, how do you get so lucky to do this and to do that? And my answer is like, you know what? I live a charmed life.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that what drives me is a profound sense of helping people, but in return, I have this gratitude about life, because I don't think that anything is owed to me. I don't think that I'm entitled to anything. I truly feel that the things that I get in life are a result of what I put out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The energy that you put out in life is what's going to come back to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my friends will say to me, similar to you, but they'll be like, man, how the heck are you cycling 60 miles in New Jersey, New York over to George Washington Bridge like a maniac?
I'm going to ask you the same thing, because I see your videos sometimes, man. And I'm like, Luiz, how are you doing that, man?
my brother, he's really big into mountain biking and things like that. And he tells me I'm crazy but I don't spend a lot of time on the road. It just, perception is not reality, right? So I pick a lot of spots that are safe, trail riding, or not necessarily trail, but because I do a lot of road biking, but, paved trail. So, when you get, and New Jersey, New York, you were born and raised over there, you go over the bridge, follow the Hudson, you're going to hit a little bit of road where you got to be super careful because everybody's driving crazy. Ironically, though, they're used to cyclists. So if you pay attention and you do what you got to do, you have a better shot. And then you make your way over to Central Park. And now, for those that don't know, Central Park is locked down. There's no cars at all. And I don't know when that started. Maybe but it's 6 miles in that loop. So you can spend your whole day there and do 20 some miles. Of course, I did on the New Jersey side, that 9W route. And, but my friends, long story, that's what they say to me, man. But fantastic, man. And again, like you said, man, you just got to give back. And that's the most important thing. And as at 40 or 20 or 19, that goes for all of us, man, and
it goes for 60-year-olds, man. It's like, it's never too late to start on whatever it is that you're passionate about. The worst thing that you could ever do is get to the end of your life with regret. Someone told me while I was back in high school that I should go and spend time with people in a nursing home, so that I can see that the things that are stressful for most people my age are really trivial when you get down to the end of your life. Whether somebody liked you in high school, whether somebody likes you on social media, whatever the case is, all that stuff is so trivial. And unfortunately, so many people steer away from following what they really want to do because of people's approval or people's acceptance.
Absolutely.
I think that the older we get, the more confident we become, but at the same time, we understand that seeking approval from people, you're never going to get people's approval, because the people who are closest to you, those are going to be the ones who support you the least when you actually go out and do that thing that you want to do. sometimes strangers support you more easily than your own family.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's just the way it is. But you really have to go after what you want. I mean, life is too short to, seek approval from other people. Just chase after your dreams, follow your dreams, put the energy in to the world that you want to get back, and good things will happen.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We see it time and time again. I mean, it is what it is. So real quick, 2 more questions. And I swear it's only 2 more questions. So good, music. I follow your TikTok. Obviously I follow you on a lot of other things, but there's 2 things I know. You sound like you could work at ESPN Sports Center, first of all. I think you follow the Jets, right? Do you like the Jets? Yeah, the Jets. Yeah. So I see that popping up sometimes. I'm like, man, this guy could be a Sports Center anchor. No problem, right? If they ever had the competition come back where they had folks come in and try, man, you hands down, I think you got it. And then
something interesting thing about Sports Center that you mentioned. When I was 15 years old, I met Stuart Scott.
What?
On a subway.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
And I'll never forget it. It's like I was going uptown and he pops in and I'm like, Stuart Scott. And back then nobody knew who he was, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I just said, booyah.
Oh, snap. That is dope. So he takes the subway, right? I heard that. I heard he takes the subway.
Yeah, he turned back around. And that night when he was doing his Mets highlights, he said, shout out to the guy on the train.
Oh, that's so cool, man. He was the best, man. He started all that. I mean, well, there were some other folks who had some great shout outs and some great things, but he's a legend, man. God bless him.
Sure is. He sure is. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if ESPN comes knocking, who knows?
Hey, you never know, man. That's cool. So that and then music. So tell us a little bit about the stuff you like to do in music, man, because I think it's wonderful. I love to see your work. Like I told you in the pre-show, you have this soul about you. You have like this New Orleans soul music about you. Tell us about that, man.
Interesting thing, man. Well, first of all, I'm the middle child of 3, right? So I have an older brother, 10 years older than me. And my mother comes from a very musical family. I have 20 aunts and uncles, and most of them play some instrument, right? So when my mother gets married, there's this pressure that all her kids have to be musicians, right?
Yeah, that's great.
But my brother didn't take to music, so she kind of doubled down on me and made sure that I learned to play music. So I picked up the piano at 7. I took piano lessons for 12, 13 years.
Wow.
I didn't really enjoy it until I learned that I could actually make money from playing music.
Wow.
So most of my adolescence, I kind of supplemented, work with playing gigs and, playing in places in New York and whatever. But, again, growing up in a diverse neighborhood, I was surrounded by so many different types of music, like reggae, gospel, soul, R&B. So I grew up around that sound, and that's kind of like what I learned to play. And that's to this day what I enjoy playing.
I love it, man. I love to see your I love to see your work, man. And because it brings that level of humanity. Like, we meet people, we see them at events, we hug each other, we take pictures, we take selfies. And then, we go on to the next thing and the next thing, or the next gala or this, that, right? There's a gala coming up, the GLAs that are coming up, and we're going to see each other there. But then when you see those personal things, right? Like that important thing, that music or that artist like Regal, that to me is just wonderful. I love to see it and I love to share it. So that's cool, man.
Even though I don't do it professionally, for me, it creates an appreciation for artists, because I understand what goes into really chasing after that. And, I understand that not everybody is ultra successful at being like a global artist, right? But, but success looks at different ways. I mean, sometimes just being known in your community as that person, that's some people's version of success. So
yeah, that's fantastic. Oh no, I see pianos all the time. Be like, AJ.
There's a piano actually on in South Bethlehem, right on the street there on 3rd. So sometimes when I'm walking to the Starbucks, I'll just stop and. Oh,
that's so cool. That's so cool. That's so cool. You should put a hat out. Put a hat out and then give them money too.
They're like, you totally need to have a hat. So,
yeah, you gotta have a hat, and then you just take the money and donate it to Red Cross.
There you go.
Full circle. All right. So real quick, tell us what's next. What's next, man? And what's next with PBS? What's next with AJ? Anything we need to know? Anything you can't reveal yet?
Well, working on a couple of things, but I'll just say this: like one of my passions for a while has kind of been teaching. So I'm starting to explore what that would look like. I had some people approach me and say, like, wow, you're really good at explaining things and getting people to understand things. So it's kind of made me wonder, like, should I look into teaching, like, and where? So stay tuned to see what comes of that. I don't think that it means that I have to stop doing what I'm doing. I think that I could do what I'm doing and still, take some time to teach. Obviously, the field that I'm in, I've been taught by other people, and other people have put time into getting me to understand the intricacies of communications and public affairs. And maybe there's an opportunity in there, to kind of teach the next generation, like, more about communications in general. So that's definitely something I'm looking to pursue. And as you know, I joined the Hispanic Chamber as a board member.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that there's definitely an opportunity there to help a lot of our Hispanic business owners, Hispanic businesses grow into understanding the opportunities that are out there right now. Like we talked about with the demographics of the growing Hispanic population. It means more opportunity for business, but it also means that these businesses have a greater opportunity to influence their communities and do good for their communities. So what does that look like? Sometimes it really is, bridging those businesses with the nonprofits that they could help. So I see an opportunity there in that, obviously I know a lot of the Hispanic business owners, but having now been experienced with nonprofits and understanding the difference between nonprofit business and a for-profit business, and explaining, to each group what they're looking for and bridging that gap. Those are the things that I'm looking to do next year, and, continue to grow our presence as far as helping the Hispanic community. So stay tuned. And I'm going to see you at the GLAs. So.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. For those that don't know, GLA sold out. I think this is like how many years in a row it's sold out. So we're excited about that. Shout out to Yamalisa, Isa, just everybody on that team to just continue this. For those of you who don't know, Golden Latin Awards is a yearly event where we have a gala, and they recognize folks in the community, whether it's an organization, a nonprofit, a teacher, students that have done wonderful in our community. And then there's several folks are put in different categories, and then the community votes and decides who deserves to be recognized. But they all deserve to be recognized. They all, done great work in the community. So if you don't win a Golden Latin Award this year, not a big deal. You all still did great. And the most important thing is that you help people, like we talked about earlier. So last question, I promise. Where can folks find you, man? Social media, website. If somebody wanted to contact AJ, how would they go about it?
Yeah, man. So I'm on a lot of the things, right? So Facebook, it's just look up AJ Suero, in Instagram, AJ.Suero, Twitter @AJ Suero. And I think the TikTok is AJ.Suero, in case you want to watch the piano videos. And
that's cool. Yeah.
Like that. So yeah,
awesome, man. Yeah. So just Google AJ Suero, man. You'll find
I'm around. And the thing is, like, most people, know where to find me. They find me. Believe me, I know they find me.
Yeah. I got you, man. I got you. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for coming on episode 23. I think you dunked pretty good, like MJ did back in the day. So
23, a good one, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We talked about a lot of good things, and most importantly, man, got to know a little bit more about AJ, and so folks can connect with you in a different way. We can slow down a little bit, right? It's a podcast, so we're going to talk a little bit. We live these busy lives, so I want to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart, man. Honor to have you on number 23.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, and thanks for everything that you do, Luis, in the community. You're such a big part of everything happening here in the Lehigh Valley. Completely appreciate the invite again.
Thanks, boss. There you have it, folks. Number 23 is in the house. Like I always say, stay connected.